You ever shot at Walmart after midnight? Holy smokes. Whoa, they ought to charge a cover charge in there after midnight.
The cable guy was making $50 million a year at his peak. He sold out football stadiums.
Dadgum, it's like a casting call for Ripley's Believe It or Not in that place.
His catchphrase, "Get her done," was everywhere. Then suddenly he vanished. Behind closed doors, Larry was trapped in a nightmare of addiction, panic attacks, and crippling PTSD from a porta-potty accident that almost broke him. Today, the man who was once comedy's biggest star lives on a ranch in Nebraska, and he's finally ready to reveal why he walked away from it all. Daniel Lawrence Whitney, known to the world as Larry the Cable Guy, was born on February 17, 1963, in Pawnee City, Nebraska. He grew up on an 80-acre farm, surrounded by the hard work and simple pleasures of rural life. His father, Tom Whitney, was a Christian minister who had once played guitar for the Everly Brothers. His mother, Shirley, managed the household. Their small-town life was ordinary in many ways, but it gave Larry a foundation that would later shape his comedy. At 16, his world changed when the family moved to West Palm Beach, Florida. His father took a job as a school principal, and Larry found himself in a completely different environment. He played football in high school and graduated from Berean Christian School in 1982. College came next. He first attended the Baptist University of America in Georgia before transferring to the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, where he studied drama and speech. It was in college that something unexpected happened. His Texan and Georgian roommates had strong Southern accents, and Larry started imitating them as a joke. Over time, the accent stuck. He had always been funny, but this new voice gave him a way to stand out. He never finished college. By his junior year, he knew what he wanted to do. Comedy was calling, and he didn't want to wait. In the early 1990s, Larry found his first real break in radio. He started making guest appearances on The Ron and Ron Show and The Bob and Tom Show. But he didn't go on as himself. Instead, he created a character, Larry the Cable Guy. He was loud, opinionated, and full of exaggerated Southern humor. His stories were wild, his accent was thick, and his catchphrases made people laugh. One of those phrases, "Get her done," would soon become his signature. Audiences loved him. His radio segments became so popular that he started performing as Larry the Cable Guy on stage. In 1995, he was officially booked under that name for the first time. From that moment on, the character wasn't just a radio bit, it was his identity. He later admitted that the accent was something he turned on and off, but that didn't matter to his fans. His stories came from real-life experiences, and his humor connected with people in a way that felt authentic. Larry spent years performing in dive bars across the country, perfecting his act. His jokes were all about life in small-town America, family quirks, working-class struggles, and the everyday weirdness of rural living. He had a way of taking something simple, like a Snuggie, and turning it into a hilarious observation. His humor wasn't complicated. It was direct, relatable, and easy to enjoy. From 2000 to 2006, Larry the Cable Guy was everywhere. He was one of the biggest names in comedy thanks to the Blue Collar Comedy Tour. Alongside Jeff Foxworthy and Ron White, he helped turn a simple stand-up tour into a massive success. They performed over 100 shows a year, pulling in more than $15 million annually. This wasn't just about jokes. It was about connecting with an audience that didn't always see itself reflected in mainstream entertainment. Larry spoke their language, and they showed up in huge numbers to see him. The first show was in Omaha, Nebraska, on January 14, 2000. It sold out with nearly 7,500 tickets. By the time the tour ended at the Warner Theater in Washington, D.C., in March 2006, they had played 124 shows for nearly 500,000 fans, grossing over $16 million just from ticket sales. But the tour wasn't just about live performances. It led to DVDs, TV specials, and even a serious satellite radio channel called Blue Collar Radio. When Blue Collar Comedy Tour, the movie came out in 2003, it didn't break box office records, but it became a cult favorite. More importantly, it made Larry's catchphrase, "Get her done," part of American pop culture. The tour proved that stand-up comedy could be just as big as a major music festival. Instead of playing small clubs, comedians were now filling arenas. Larry, with his sleeveless shirts and thick Southern drawl, became one of the most recognizable comics in America. But not everyone was a fan. Some critics argued that Larry's redneck persona relied too much on stereotypes. His jokes often centered on hunting mishaps, chaotic family gatherings, and exaggerated country life. Some felt he was reinforcing negative cliches about rural Americans. His fans saw it differently. They didn't think he was mocking them, they thought he was one of them. His humor didn't look down on rural life, it celebrated it. He turned everyday struggles into comedy. To his audience, he wasn't just funny, he was relatable. Some saw his act as outdated, but others saw it as a proud statement of self-reliance and patriotism. Whether people loved him or criticized him, one thing was clear: he had struck a nerve in American comedy. While touring, Larry also became one of the top-selling comedians in music. His 2001 album Lord, I Apologize introduced audiences to his mix of absurdity and real-life observations. Then, in 2005, The Right to Bear Arms took things to another level. It debuted at number 7 on the Billboard 200, a huge achievement for a comedy album. Both albums sold over 1 million copies, making them platinum hits, something that was becoming rare as digital downloads took over. The success wasn't just about sales. The Right to Bear Arms earned a Grammy nomination for Best Comedy Album in 2006. This proved Larry wasn't just a niche act, he was mainstream. He was selling out arenas while also topping the charts. Then came 2006, the year that made Larry an even bigger household name. That's when Pixar cast him as the voice of Mater, the goofy, lovable tow truck in Cars. The film was a massive hit, grossing over $1 billion worldwide. It led to 2 sequels, Cars 2 in 2011 and Cars 3 in 2017, along with billions in merchandise sales. Mater quickly became one of Pixar's most beloved characters. His signature line, "My name's M, like Tom, but without the 2, was instantly recognizable to kids and parents alike. Larry reportedly made over $5 million just for voicing Mater in the first film. But for him, the real reward was knowing his kids would always have something to remember him by. Mater didn't stop with the movies. The character appeared in spin-offs, theme park attractions, and even the Disney Plus series Cars on the Road. Larry's voice became a constant presence in the franchise. For a comedian known for stand-up, it was an unexpected turn, but it proved he had range. He could make a room full of adults laugh one night and entertain millions of children the next. Then came Only in America. It started on the History Channel on February 8, 2011, and ran until 2013. Each episode threw him into a new adventure where he tackled unusual jobs and traditions that defined American culture. He made moonshine in the backwoods, wrangled gators, and even rode with the Hells Angels. Every episode started with his signature line, "Listen up, America. I'm Larry the Cable Guy, and I love this country." The first episode, Larry Makes Moonshine, drew 4.1 million viewers. That set the stage for a wild 3-season run. Fans saw him work as a fishmonger, train with U.S. Army snipers, and help build a medieval castle. The show was unpredictable, sometimes ridiculous, but always entertaining. No matter how extreme the situation got, Larry found a way to connect with the people he met, turning everyday experiences into something memorable. But while the show looked like non-stop fun, it came with a cost. Filming kept Larry on the road 6 days a week. His sons were 5 and 6 years old when the show started. While he was out filming, they were hitting milestones he wasn't there to see. He missed school events and important moments, and the time apart put a strain on his marriage. The success of Only in America was undeniable, but behind the scenes, Larry was struggling with the constant travel and the pressure of keeping up with the demanding schedule. Then came the Porta Potty episode in 2012. Larry had done a lot of wild things for the show, but this was different. Cleaning festival porta potties pushed him to his limit. He later called it the most disgusting thing I've ever done. The episode became infamous, but for Larry, it was more than just another stunt. It made him stop and think about how far he was willing to go for entertainment. Despite the millions of viewers tuning in, he made the decision to walk away after the third season. The show was a success, but missing out on his kids' early years wasn't worth it. He wanted to be there for them instead of spending another year chasing ratings. Only in America left a lasting impact. Fans still watch reruns, and the show remains one of Larry's biggest solo projects. But in the end, he chose family over fame. For him, that was the best decision he could have made. Larry the Cable Guy, whose real name is Daniel Lawrence Whitney, built a career making people laugh. But away from the spotlight, his life has been shaped by family, sacrifice, and a deep commitment to giving back. His journey with his wife, Cara Whitney, is a big part of that story. In 2004, Larry was in Los Angeles working on his comedy career. That's where he met Cara, a radio DJ from Wisconsin who had grown up on a cattle ranch. The connection was instant. One of the things that bonded them was an unusual detail. They both liked the smell of cattle trucks. Just a year later, on July 3, 2005, they got married. Instead of a flashy Hollywood wedding, they chose something simple. The ceremony took place in an open field in Nebraska. It was casual, low-key, and cost only $180. That choice reflected who they were. Carrera had never been drawn to the spotlight. Over time, she moved away from radio and focused on writing, philanthropy, and raising their family. Larry's career was booming, but success came at a cost. He was performing up to 287 shows a year, constantly traveling and missing important moments in his children's lives. He and Carrera had 2 kids, Wyatt and Reagan, and Carrera saw how much Larry's schedule kept him away from them. She pushed him to cut back on touring and focus more on family. In 2015, he made a big change. He cut his workload by 90%, going from nearly 300 shows a year to fewer than 25. That decision gave him more time at their ranch in Nebraska, where he could be present for his kids. Wyatt and Reagan had a childhood that was far from ordinary. They grew up traveling with their dad on tour buses, seeing different parts of the country. But more than anything, Larry wanted to make sure they had a father who was there when they needed him. Larry's dedication to family also extended beyond his own home. In 2009, he and Cara launched the Get Our Done Foundation, using his success to support people in need. The foundation has donated over $7 million to causes like children's hospitals, veterans groups, and families facing medical challenges. One of its biggest contributions was a $5 million donation to Arnold Palmer Hospital for Children to help research and treat hip dysplasia, a cause that was personal to them. The foundation has also supported Operation Homefront for military families and the Madonna Rehabilitation Hospital, helping people get the care they need. Larry was once one of the highest-paid comedians in America. From 2006 to 2012, he made around $50 million a year. His catchphrase, "Get Our Done," and his over-the-top redneck persona made him a household name. He packed out venues across the country, from comedy clubs to massive arenas. In 2009, he performed in a football stadium, something no comedian did again until Kevin Hart in 2015. His success didn't stop with stand-up. His albums Lord, I Apologize and The Right to Bear Arms both went gold, bringing in even more money. And then there were endorsements. His deal with Prilosec OTC, a heartburn medication, was worth tens of millions. With all that money, he invested in real estate. In 2016, he bought a $3.6 million home in North Scottsdale, Arizona. The place had 4 bedrooms, an outdoor kitchen, a golf course, and a pool with a spa. He was living large, but not everyone was happy about it. Some critics called out the irony of a multimillionaire comedian still pushing a blue-collar image. Then came trouble. The IRS started looking into his finances, questioning his tax deductions. His sleeveless flannel shirts and trucker hats were part of his act, and he claimed them as business expenses. But the IRS wasn't convinced. They argued that unless he only wore them on stage, they didn't qualify. His legal team fought to justify the write-offs, but it turned into a long and expensive battle. In 2014, he faced another legal problem after canceling several shows due to burnout. Promoters sued him for breach of contract. They claimed the cancellations cost them a fortune. At his peak, Larry juggled non-stop touring with endorsement deals and film projects. The pressure was relentless, and it took a toll. His team defended him, saying he needed a break, but promoters and some fans saw it differently. Then everything changed. After 2015, his bookings dropped by 60%. Comedy was moving in a new direction. Younger audiences started gravitating toward comedians like Bo Burnham and Hannah Gadsby, whose humor focused more on personal stories and social issues. Larry's exaggerated redneck character wasn't landing the same way it used to. In an era where cultural sensitivity was becoming more important, his brand of humor started to feel out of place. He kept going, releasing stand-up specials like Remain Seated in 2020, but they didn't reach the same level of success. At one point, he was making $50 million a year. He was one of the biggest names in comedy. But times changed, and the audiences that once filled stadiums to see him started looking for something different. Larry has never been shy about sharing his opinions, but during the 2016 presidential election, he delivered one of the strangest endorsements ever. While appearing on Fox and Friends, he said, "I'm a Trump man. And when I say Trump man, I mean Gary Johnson." Then he took it further with a joke that stuck with people. "The choice is, let's see, do I want to poop my pants, or do I want somebody else to poop my pants? I think I'll go with pooping my own pants." It was an odd way to explain his frustration with both Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. He didn't fully support Trump, but wasn't comfortable with Clinton either. Johnson, the Libertarian candidate, became his pick by default. His comment got people talking. Some laughed, some were confused. Even the Johnson campaign responded on Twitter, inviting him to discuss his views further. Larry wasn't just making jokes, he was expressing a real frustration with politics in 2016. He also spoke about other issues, including Colin Kaepernick's national anthem protests. He said he didn't agree with Kaepernick's decision to kneel but defended his right to protest. This ability to see both sides made Larry an interesting figure, especially since many of his fans were strong Trump supporters. Some appreciated his honesty, while others thought he should have fully backed Trump. The moment sparked debates about whether celebrity endorsements, especially ones meant as jokes, actually influence voters. Some felt Larry's words reflected how many Americans saw the election as a bad choice either way. Others thought he was just trying to be funny. Regardless, his strange endorsement made headlines and kept him in the political conversation. Years later, in February 2023, he found himself in another political controversy, this time involving Republican Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. During President Joe Biden's State of the Union address, Greene heckled him throughout his speech, waving her arms and shouting. Larry tweeted about her performance, comparing it to every comedian's ex-girlfriend coming to their show and sitting in the back 6 days after the breakup. The joke didn't sit well with some of his conservative fans. Many accused him of attacking Greene unfairly. Some even called him woke. Larry was quick to defend himself. "This wasn't a political joke. Unbelievable. Lighten up, some of you. Sheesh," he tweeted in response. Despite the backlash, he wasn't entirely against Greene. He said he respected her boldness but suggested she could use speech lessons. This balanced take, mocking her while still showing some support, only added to the debate. His fans were divided. Some defended him. Others questioned where he really stood politically. The controversy was surprising because Larry has always been popular with conservative audiences. If he was facing backlash from his own fan base, it showed how sensitive political conversations had become. Even a simple joke could turn into a major debate. Beyond these moments, Larry has also spoken out about free speech and comedy. He has criticized what he sees as cancel culture, saying comedians should be free to joke about anything without fear of backlash. In interviews, he has said that audiences have become too sensitive, and that jokes people used to laugh at are now considered offensive. His views fit with his libertarian beliefs. He supports personal freedom and dislikes censorship of any kind. But some have accused him of hypocrisy. While he speaks out against corporate influence in politics and media, he has also been a long-time sponsor for companies like Prilosec OTC. Some critics argue that taking corporate money makes it harder for him to claim he stands for independent thinking. Larry doesn't see it that way. He says sponsorships allow him to support causes he cares about. His Get Our Done Nation has raised millions for children and veterans. To him, working with brands is a way to fund good projects, not a sign that he's sold out. But the debate continues. Does taking corporate money weaken his message, or is he simply making smart business decisions while staying true to himself? Larry built his career on loud, over-the-top comedy, but behind the jokes and his signature "Get Our Done" catchphrase, he faced serious health struggles that nearly cost him everything. By the time he hit 240 pounds, his weight was causing major problems. Sleep apnea made every night a battle for breath. Joint pain turned every performance into a struggle. He was exhausted, sore, and trapped in a cycle that only seemed to get worse. Sleep apnea is common in people carrying extra weight. Fat around the throat narrows the airway, making it collapse during sleep. That meant Larry would stop breathing over and over again throughout the night. Every morning he woke up tired. The exhaustion carried into the day, making it harder to focus, harder to move, harder to be himself. The joint pain only added to the problem. Performing required energy. His routines were physical, full of movement and animation. But every step hurt. Every jump felt heavier. The less he moved, the more the weight stuck around. The more the weight stuck around, the worse everything got. By 2018, his hip pain had reached a breaking point. He needed surgery. Hip replacements are common for people with joint damage, but recovery isn't easy. He relied on prescription painkillers, which came with their own risks. Opioids are powerful, they numb the pain, but they can also take control. Studies show that around 35% of hip replacement patients keep using opioids 6 months after surgery. Some struggle to stop even after the pain is gone. Rumors started spreading that Larry was using the pills not just for his hip, but to handle stress. There was no proof he had a serious problem, but it was a reminder of how quickly pain management can turn into something more dangerous. By 2020, another problem took over: anxiety. On stage, Larry seemed fearless, but off stage, the pressure to keep his act fresh and funny started weighing on him. Before big shows, he suffered panic attacks. The world was changing, comedy was changing, and the pandemic shut down live performances. Audiences were leaning toward a different style of humor, and Larry started feeling like he was being left behind. He built his brand on a loud, politically incorrect, unapologetic style, but the industry was shifting towards safer material. The fear of losing relevance added to his stress. He had always played the role of the carefree comedian, but inside, he was struggling to keep up. Some struggles were easier to hide than others. But in 2012, one of the strangest moments of his life became public. During a tour stop, he got trapped in a porta-potty that tipped over. What seemed like a gross but funny story turned into something much worse for him. The experience stuck with him for years, the feeling of being trapped, the panic, the humiliation. It didn't go away. He later admitted that the incident triggered post-traumatic stress disorder. Even minor reminders brought back the anxiety. It was a strange thing to struggle with, but trauma doesn't always come from the places people expect. By 2019, his career and health weren't the only things at risk. His wife, Cara, had enough. She loved him, but his non-stop touring and declining health were pushing their marriage to the breaking point. She gave him an ultimatum: change or lose his family. For years, he put his career first. Now he had to make a choice. He started cutting back on shows and spending more time at home with their 2 children. It was a wake-up call. The fast-paced lifestyle he had been living wasn't sustainable. Something had to give. Then came another blow. After 2020, some of his planned comedy specials were cancelled. The style of humor he built his career on was losing its place in mainstream entertainment. Networks were nervous about taking risks. Comedy was shifting, and Larry had to figure out where he fit. Instead of chasing big network deals, he focused on smaller venues and digital platforms. He found ways to adapt without completely changing who he was. The days of massive specials were behind him, but he still had an audience. He still had a voice. He just had to use it differently. Larry spent years making people laugh in sold-out arenas. Now he spends his days on a Nebraska ranch, raising cattle and hosting charity rodeos. It's a big change, but for him, it feels right. He has always loved rural life, and now he gets to share that passion with his community. His ranch has become more than just a quiet retreat. It's a place where he can give back while staying connected to the people who have supported him for so long. His love for rodeo runs deep. He has invested in professional bull riders, PBR, events for years and even co-owned Chicken on a Chain, a world champion bull that became a legend in the sport.